Port Louis, the capital of Mauritius, is also the largest port of the Indian Ocean. Inside Port Louis, busy streets crisscross the city, that has been growing constantly since the year 1732, when it was chosen to become the main port of Ile-de-France. Today, Port Louis is home to the biggest port facility in the Indian Ocean region, and one of Africa's major financial centers. Facing the harbour is the city's most imposing boulevard, the Place d'Armes. The main road is lined with royal palms, and leads up to Government House, a beautiful French colonial structure, dating from 1738. Governor François-Marie de la Bourdonnais played a key role in the foundation of Port Louis as a harbour, which later became the capital of Mauritius. He turned the island into a prosperous French colony and a port of call, on the sea journey from Europe to the Far East. He established Port Louis as a naval base and built roads and bridges. Nowadays, the statue of François-Marie de la Bourdonnais stands guard, facing Port Louis Harbour. The central market of Port Louis, also known as the Bazar, is a melting pot where workers, locals visiting the city, and tourists all come in one common place to buy food, souvenirs, vegetables and fruits. The middle alley of the market is always very colorful, crowded, and noisy, enveloped by the sound of sellers loudly promoting their products, the chirping of caged birds and the ambient sound of the city. We cannot leave the place without visiting the food court of the central market. The local traditional fast foods, such as the dol puri, farata, ghat al pima, and the refreshing aluda are delicacies for the taste buds. The Chinatown is an old charming corner of Port Louis, where you might find some elderly, who have preciously preserved their Chinese accent. Crowded streets, the strong smell of spices and Chinese foodstuffs, will take you on a tour into the heart of a suburb that has preserved a cultural and economic connection to China for more than 160 years. Next to the Natural History Museum is found the Jardin de la Compagnie, a small green space within the busy city of Port Louis, surrounded by huge banyan trees. The garden dates back to the early years of the French colonial period. The Aapravasi Ghat World Heritage Site covers an area of 1,640 meters square. In 1834, the British government selected the island of Mauritius to be the first site for what it called the Great Experiment, in the use of free labour to replace slaves. Between 1834 and 1920, almost 500,000 indentured labourers arriving from India took their first steps on the island at the Aapravasi Ghat. Some came to work in the sugar plantations of Mauritius, others were to be transferred to Reunion Island, Australia, Southern and Eastern Africa or the Caribbean. Today the Aapravasi Ghat World Heritage Site is revered as the symbol of sacrifice and hardship that indentured labourers, mainly coming from India, had to endure as they set out in their arduous journey for an unknown destiny. The Intercontinental Slavery Museum of Port Louis is housed in a building, which was used as military hospital by the French colonial administration of the island, and built by slaves in 1740. Here, the history of slavery in Mauritius is recounted in great details. A history of slave trade, pain, suffering, revolt, and finally freedom. Fort Adelaide, also known as La Citadel, is an old military compound built with thick blocks of rock, under the British administration of the island in 1834. The purpose was to counteract any rebellion uprising within the local population, which seemed imminent at that time. The fort, made of basalt rock, could accommodate 200 soldiers. The structure includes machicolates for observing approaching enemies. Fortunately, the fort never had to be used to ward off any attack. Cannon shots, known as noonday gun from the fort, indicated midday to the city of Port Louis. It has also been used as a fire lookout post, and to welcome foreign personalities. La Citadel offers a panoramic view on the city as well as on the Jardin, the oldest horse racing track in the southern hemisphere. Mostly on Saturdays, many Mauritians converge to the Jardin to watch the races, with everyone supporting their favorite horse. The Maiden is the most popular race of the year, attracting thousands of Mauritians in an atmosphere of celebration. The Jummah Mosque, or Jummah Masjid, formerly known as Mosque of the Arabs, is located on the Royal Road of Port Louis, dating back to the 1850s. The building combines Indian, Creole and Islamic architecture. The Jummah Mosque houses the remains of Jamal Shah, a Pir from Kutch, India, in a marble tomb next to the mosque. The Jummah Mosque is the most important mosque of Mauritius, where the majority of Muslims living in Port Louis come to pray. It is from the Jummah Mosque that the official announcement for the celebration of Eid ul-Fitr is pronounced. The Reine de la Paix spiritual sanctuary overlooks the city of Port Louis from the foot of the Signal Mountain. A 3-meter tall statue of Mary, Queen of Peace, seems to watch over the city, spreading spiritual light to every corner. Pope John Paul II and Pope Francis both came to this calm and serene platform to celebrate masses during their visit to Mauritius in 1989 and 2019 respectively. Thank you for watching our video. To stay informed about new videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mauritius 360, and visit Mauritius360.com to support our work.